My name is Ariele. I'm a physical therapist and a yoga teacher. And so you'll notice some of my yoga techniques, like the hip openers that I teach and the stretches that I teach, are going to be a little different than they might be for other yoga practices. So that's what's going on. And at the end, I'm going to tell you a couple of free events that I have coming up. Let me see if I can get this out of the way, but also keep it exciting, keep it high quality for you. All right, let's start with a comfortable seated position. And you don't need any props for this class tonight, but if you enjoy using props, you're welcome to use them. You're welcome to use whatever you got in your house. Make the back of your neck nice and long. Take a couple of rolls of your shoulders. Allow your eyelids to get heavy. Allow your shoulders and your elbows to get heavy. And the back of the neck nice and long, jaw soft. We'll keep the breath easy in and out through the nose. Nothing fancy. And notice if you can imagine or feel your breath in 360 degrees, so front, back, side, and side. Stay here in the stillness, still breathing fully. And then on your next inhale, press your palms together over your heart and take a moment to drop into a dream that you have for this next day that will be coming up, for the rest of this week, for this month, for this quarantine time. And as you're ready, settle your hands, sort of just allowing that dream to kind of drop into your heart and open your eyes. We're going to sweep the arms up on our inhale. And then exhale, left arm forward, right arm back. Look over your right shoulder. Inhale, arms up. And exhale, take it to the other side. Get a nice twist to the other side. Inhale up. This time as you go back to your first side, you're going to keep your torso twisted and your shoulders twisted, but you're going to turn your head like you're hearing some really good gossip with that left ear. You're going to turn your head and kind of like look at the opposite direction of your shoulders. Take a few breaths, filling in the back of your lungs. And then as we come right back through center, we're just going to pause here for a moment, coming into cactus arms. Flip your palms out away from you, squeeze your shoulders back. And then inhale, arms up. Exhale, take the twist to the other side. So you're going to spin your shoulders as far as you can go, and then turn your chin back over your right shoulder. Like there's a magnet on that ear kind of pulling you towards that wall. So this is a little bit of a stretch, but you're using your own muscles. You're starting to like get a little bit of a side glide in your neck as well. And as you inhale, unwind, come right back to center and settle your hands down on the floor and your knees down on the floor for table position. So spread your fingers wide. If you need to, you can do anything we're doing in table pose on your forearms so that it doesn't bother your wrists. Another technique you can do since you're at home is to put your forearms or your hands up on blocks or a chair so that there's less weight through the arms. As you inhale, so drop the belly down, heart forward. And as you exhale, round up to the sky. Get a sense of breath expanding the back body. And just move back and forth at the pace of your breath. So while you're moving back and forth, I'm just going to say one thing about the yogic practice of Ujjayi breath. I find it to be sometimes a little bit anxiety provoking. And what I tend to teach is just a simple inhale and exhale through the nose. Now, if Ujjayi breath feels like really rhythmic and steadying to you, then of course keep it. If you have no idea what Ujjayi breath is, that's fine too. No need to know more. And then please find a neutral spine. You're going to bring your right hand to your abdomen and reach your left leg back behind you. So we did this in class the other day. Flex your foot and start to activate, pressing the sole of the foot to the sky. Keep that up, that little pulsation. You should start to feel a little bit of a burn. Imagine you've got a cup of tea on the sole of your foot and you don't want to let it slosh. You're going to settle that foot right down and shake your hips out a little bit right and left. Before we do the other side, spin your fingers to the sides like that so that your fingers are reaching towards 3 o'clock and 9 o'clock. And you're going to shift a little right and left. Keep spinning if that feels reasonable for you all the way back towards 6 o'clock. And then as this time, round your spine, inhale into the back of your body. And exhale, heart forward. So we're just switching it up, creating a little bit of novelty in our movement. And if you've been on your computer a lot, on your phone a lot, you might notice that this is pretty intense on the forearms, on the wrists. So feel free to adjust as needed, but this is a really good one to accommodate, to get that stretch across the forearms. All right, one more side. So reorient your hands to a comfortably forward position and shift your weight onto your right arm. So left hand comes to your abdomen. Right leg reaches back. Keep a 90-degree bend in your knee. And you're going to flex your foot like you've got a little teacup on your foot, up and down. Let's do 4 more pulses. The hand on the belly, you can settle your knee down. The hand on the belly is all about stabilizing us through the center. So from here, please lower down onto your forearms. And we're going to round the spine. And I want you just to look at your navel, really get a sense of rounding, spaciousness, chopping down through the forearms into the ground. Shake your head out a little bit left and right. So this is a shout out for those of you who carry a bit of extra neck tension. And it's also a little bit about shoulder stuff. So keep that position if you can, but I'm going to explain what I'm doing. So the arms are overhead. If you just kind of hang there, your head's going to hit through the floor, right? To the floor. If you really drive through the forearms, you're going to create a couple of inches gap between the head and shoulders. You're going to get a bit more nourishment of the muscles right around the shoulder blades. So this is scapular elevation, and it helps to chop through the floor, that energizing action, and it's something we should maintain as we go into down dog. So let's collectively stay on our forearms, lift the hips, don't even worry how deeply bent your knees are, and just start to bend and straighten. One leg and then the other. And settle all the way right back down. Stack, stack, stack your vertebrae, coming back into seated. We're going to do a bit to warm up our hips, okay? So find a seated position with your feet rooted to the ground in front of you, yeah? Hands can be behind you, or for a little added core work, hands can be right over your chest. Now, I don't have a lot of space here, so I'm kind of leaning up against this piece of furniture. But if you've got more space, feel free to spread yourself out, like really spread out. You're just going to drop your knees to one side and then to the other. And if you can do this again, hands free, go for it. So some of us are not as gifted with the openness in our hips. And for those of you who are feeling really restricted here in this simple movement, I encourage you to grab almost like a couch cushion, something firm that will support you and keep you from having to to do this with your arms, so your hips have a little bit more freedom. Yeah. So one more time to each side. Nice hip opening action. As both of your knees go over to the right, let them kind of splay apart from one another like mine are here, petals of flower. And then just spin in the direction of your knees, that your knees are pointing. Come all the way back. If we had blocks, we would be squeezing a block here, but since we don't, we're going to make a tight, like handshake fist, interlace fingers maybe, right over the heart. And then lift that hip, let it settle and spin in the other direction. Lift and settle and spin. We'll just do a few of these. And last two. And then if you feel comfortable, keep the hands off the ground, switch to the other side. Again, spin as far as you can into this twist, allowing the legs to be separated like little flower petals. Bring your gaze as far as you can into the twist as well. And then right back to center. This time make two fists and press them together. And you're just going to spin, let the hip sink down and lift. Sink and lift. Sink and lift. Sink and lift. Two more. And then as you're ready, come right back onto hands and knees. Stretch your right leg back behind you and press through the calf until you feel a nice little stretch across the back of your leg. Bring one hand, so your free hand, your left hand, to your low back, and I want you to kind of press up into it a little bit. We'll be working a bit with plank today, and so I want you to really recognize when you're sagging through the center of your body and when you're in a nice neutral position. I'll switch sides. Both hands down, stretch out your left leg, and then bring your right hand to your low back once you feel that calf stretch. Puff up a little bit in the kidney area. Full breath. Release your hand. Root the hands down to the ground and then rise up, downward facing dog. Create a little bit of a shift to the right and to the left. And then start to walk the hands all the way back towards your feet. So you're going to want to come into feet a little bit wider than hip distance, hanging a forward fold. So I like to bend my knees here. Shake your head out left and right. Again, really releasing the head, the neck, and scoop your hands maybe behind the skull of the head. Just let the head be heavy and the arms be heavy. And so you're just allowing this gentle tug to happen through the back of the neck. Not pulling, not forcing. On your inhale, rise to this halfway up position. And on your exhale, bend and fold and walk yourself right back out. Find your way to downward facing dog. Nice, you guys. All right. So front down dog, let's go ahead and hover the knees, come into this active table and reach the hips up and back, press the arms. Hover the knees, coming into this active hovering table position. Reach it up and back. And then one more time, hover, round through your upper back a little bit, try not to sag, and reach. And then slow motion walk of the feet forward to the front of your yoga mat. Inhale halfway. Exhale, bend and fold. And then wide open arms. Inhale, rise up, palms meet and greet overhead and over your heart. Let's shift the weight. So I'm going to turn towards you so you guys can see. You're going to shift your weight onto your right foot, left knee nice and high. Start to draw some circles here. So wherever you are, you can hold on to something. No big deal. And then we're going to take this lifted leg and step it back to the back of the mat. Hands to your hips. Drop down a little bit more. And then inhale, arms up for crescent lunge. Exhale, palms over the heart. Hands to the hips. Lower your back knee down and tap that knee and raise it up. Lower your back knee down and tap that knee and raise it up. 2 more just like this. And the tapping, by the way, is optional. If your knee doesn't go down that low, totally fine. Last one. Good, lean forward. You can put your hands on your front knee if you need to. You're going to really take a nice lean bend into your back knee and step it forward. Inhale, arms up. Squeeze your glutes, get tall. Exhale, fold down. Shake out your head. Inhale, halfway up. Use the muscles of the back and maybe even come into cactus arms here so your arms are at like this 90-degree position. Right out from your elbows. Elbows right out from your shoulders. And then inhale, rise up to stand. And then your other leg, you're going to rise the knee and draw some big circles here. And it can go in either direction, clockwise or counterclockwise. And then from the front of your mat, take this lifted leg and step it all the way to the back. Inhale, rise up, find your crescent lunge. Create this great open-heartedness in this shape. There's a sense of almost being tractioned through your spine by your arms, sinking your hips low. Please bring your hands to your hips. And we'll do the same thing we did on the other side. Bend your back knee. It can look like a little shallow bend or a nice deep bend that taps the floor. So I teach these kinds of lunges in almost every class that I teach because they're really, really functional. And then from here, you're going to keep your back leg straight, lean in, option to put your hands on that front knee. Take a little bend in your back knee to help you, and then step forward. Inhale up. Exhale, fold it down. Inhale, halfway up. And this time, we'll take the left leg to the back of the mat and sink the heel down and lift it up. Sink the heel down and lift it up. And so I want to tell you that what we're doing right now, even though it doesn't look like much, is actually a hip opener and a hip stabilizer. My front knee is working really hard, all the muscles around the hip, to keep the knee pointed right over the middle toe. And the back leg is rotating in the hip socket. As you sink that back heel down, inhale, open up, find a warrior 2 version, and straighten and bend. This too is a hip opener. And as you're ready, through all this like joint mobility work that we've been doing, sink it down, lean into your back arm, and get a nice side bend in your spine. Top shoulder blade reaches by your ear, head can hang heavy. You might even look down to the ground. Backhand light so that your obliques kick in. And then inhale up. Exhale, take it forward and bring your elbow to your knee. We're in side angle shape right now, and as you draw your navel in, draw your ribs back, you want to work to drop the pelvis a little, and you can, again, do these up and downs if you're feeling particularly tight in your inner thigh. And you want to avoid back bending here. So draw everything in. Create a nice, strong, straight line through that top arm. And then sweep the hand back by the hip, pivot your back heel up, bounce this back foot to the front of the mat. Halfway up, exhale, fold it down. Inhale, arms wide, rise. Exhale, palms over the heart. I have to switch sides. Inhale, arms up. Exhale, fold it down. Inhale, halfway up. And then exhale, take your right leg to the back of your yoga mat now. So hands can be on the front knee to help you to stabilize. Back heel sinks and lifts, sinks and lifts. So it's pretty subtle work. But if you've ever been in a yoga class and you've done a warrior two pose right in the beginning, and you noticed how intense that can be on the hips when you're not quite warmed up, notice the difference between that and then sinking your heel down here after doing all of those little rotations, rising up into warrior two, Virabhadrasana 2, and feeling a lot more comfortable, I hope. Bend and straighten your front knee a few times. From all this joint mobility work, we're going to sink a little deeper, lean into the back arm, let this shoulder reach up, arm by the ear, and the head get heavy. You could look down or you could just let the head hang to the side. And from here, inhale up, elbow to the thigh, top arm by the ear, gorgeous side angle shape, right? Draw your ribs in, broaden up the kidney area. Let your breath be easy and fun and sweet. And we're going to settle all hands down to the ground. So for those of you who are vinyasa yogis, take any vinyasa that you'd like. I'm going to show a variation. Option 1, knees, chest, and chin. From here, float your hands, float your legs, float your shoulder blades, float your head and heart. Root your hands. Stay connected to core, coming up through table or through plank, and then find downward facing dog. Shake out your head in down dog. I'm going to do a really, really quick anatomy lesson. One of the things that can help your shoulders and neck to feel more free, believe it or not, in the practice of yoga is whenever your arms are higher than shoulder height, to allow the shoulder blades to really reach and move like this, and to not try and bring them away from your ears, as you sometimes hear yoga teachers say. I think that's something that comes from ballet when there is no weight in their arms, but when there's weight in your arms, you really need to get that pushing action through the arms. So one more breath in down dog. Shake out your head, really try pushing through the arms. See how that helps you to connect also to your core. And then take a nice long walk or jump to the front of your mat. Halfway up, inhale. Exhale, fold, shake out your head. Open the arms as you have space. Inhale, arms up overhead. Exhale, palms together over the heart. Hands to your hips. Shift your weight onto your left leg. Draw your right knee high. Take that inner ankle up as high as you can go and just hold it here. I know it's tempting to go into whatever might be the next shape, but I'm not going to let you know what that is for another few seconds. So keep lifting. Try to activate your external rotators. And then chop right over your thigh and sit down into a little bit of a chair pose. Again, hold on to something if you need to. You can keep this really shallow, or you can aim to go a little bit deeper. This is a nice single leg squat. Yeah? Folding from the hips. Inhale, rise up. Let this leg lift with you. Step it to the back of the mat. Rise into your lunge, crescent lunge. Exhale, palms over the heart. Spin it open, warrior two. Lean into your back arm, dancing warrior. And then elbow to your front thigh. Drop it down. Find your variation of side angle. Take 2 to 3 breaths here. And then root your hands. Lower your back knee down to the ground. And rise up into this variation. Just a knee down crescent lunge, drop through the pelvis if you feel comfortable. And all hands down to the ground. Curl your back toes under. Lift your back knee up. Step it back to plank. Move through the vinyasa. Option 2, after rolling through your tiptoes, come into this knees down position. Lower down through half chaturanga. Cobra or up dog, the difference between the two is your pelvis stays on the ground for cobra, and in up dog, hands and feet are the only things on the ground. Connect to your core, downward facing dog. And then yogis, you are welcome to take a nice little walk, listening to my creaky floorboards here, or you're welcome to jump to the front of your mat. Please rise halfway up. And you'll notice that in this one, I keep my legs pretty straight. So work the hamstrings and the hip extensors to help lift you up. And then exhale, let everything go. Again, use your legs to help shake out your spine. Shake your head left, right, up and down. And then we're gonna stack vertebra by vertebra by vertebra, coming back to our standing position. Hands to the hips. Please shift your weight onto your right leg. Draw your left knee high. You're going to draw the inner ankle up and hold it up as long as you can tolerate. Cross your ankle over your standing leg. And I'm going to show you in profile, but we're all going to be pulsing here. There's a temptation to go into a pretty big back bend here. The shadows might be hiding it a little bit, but my chest is quite lifted. There's a little bit of a ski slope happening in my low back. What I prefer would be to see this neutral spine. So part of the way for you guys to get there is to keep your gaze down and forward. Don't try to look too far forward. All right, inhale, rise your leg, step it back, step into your crescent lunge, this familiar shape by now. Full breath, palms over the heart, open out, find your way to your warrior 2. Lean into your back arm, so there's a bit of obliques happening, hand down that back leg, and then elbow to front thigh, arm by the ear. Find your side angle. Notice that I'm wiggling, I'm getting comfortable, I'm still opening through the hip. Hands can come down to the floor, or if you feel comfortable just using the muscles of the legs, drop that back knee down, inhale, arms up, and this time we're going to take a variation on the theme. Bring your hands to the back of your head. Elbows wide, lift your chest, squeeze your shoulders back, only sink in to the depth of the back bend, so far as you feel comfortable, like you can actually lift your heart, right? So squeeze your shoulder blades, lift the heart. And then exhale, hands down to the ground, and step it back and take the vinyasa. You've got 2 options that I've presented, and of course you can go, if you have the room, straight through chaturanga to your back bend, downward facing dog. 1 or 2 more breaths in down dog. And then settle your knees down to the ground. So we're going to play a little bit with a classic shoulder stabilizing position. And for that, you're going to want to move from table and pivot whatever leg is farthest away from me, straightening your top leg. Yeah. So root down through your hand, readjust it. It can be a little bit in front of your shoulder. You're going to take your top arm to the sky. So this is variation number 1, and I'd love for you to imagine this like big helium balloon in your top arm, reaching up, yeah? Ribs up, ribs back, optional arm by the ear. And then if you've got space, lift that back leg a little bit. I had to bend my knee to lift, yeah? Nice. Exhale, take it down. Then we're going to travel to the other side. So pivot, the knee that's closest to me now. Push down through the ground, the arm that's still on the ground. Walk it out a little bit. Lift through the ribs, fill in the back ribs. Top arm up, maybe by the ear. And then if you can lift that back leg, go for it. Usually you would lift it straight. And then exhale, root it down. Curl your toes under, downward facing dog. Optional vinyasa, you guys, and optional child's pose. I recommend a little bit of a knees wide child's pose. 2 to 3 breaths in the back body. And then we're going to play with something called turbo dog next. So if you need to do this on your knees, on your forearms, not on your forearms so much, but in table pose, that's totally fine with me. So what turbo pose looks like is you have your fingers pointed in a little bit inside a down dog. And we're going to start it all together here in table pose. So elbows go wide. And then you squeeze your elbows so that they point back towards your thighs. And then you straighten. Fingers in, elbows go wide, squeeze, and straighten. All right? Stay in that position on hands and knees. And if you feel comfortable, come up to down dog and we'll do it together in down dog. Elbows wide. Squeeze, hover the forearms, and straighten. Elbows wide. Squeeze, hover the forearms, and straighten. And one more time, elbows wide, squeeze and hover, and straighten. Inhale, shift forward to plank. If you feel comfortable, walk your feet nice and far away from one another. Shift your weight onto your right hand to the left hip. Shift your weight onto your left hand to the right hip. And switch. And switch. So we talked about this earlier. Try to keep a neutrality in your back so that you're not sinking down. And one of the ways to do that is, by the way, you can do all of this on your knees, is to keep pushing through the hand that's on the ground. Bring your hands, downward facing dog. Option 1, right leg down, pivot, left arm to the sky. Option 2, just switch it, shift it forward, stagger your feet, left arm to the sky. And option 3, stack the feet. Wherever you are, root your hands, move through the vinyasa or take your child's pose. So I don't know how you guys felt about that turbo dog, but it always activates some muscles that I don't seem to activate in the other positions. So it's pretty fierce. We're going to go back into 2 more rounds of turbo dog, okay? So if you're not in down dog, meet me in down dog. Bend your elbows, take them wide. Squeeze and hover. And hover one more breath and straighten. Bend your elbows, take them wide. Squeeze and hover. Hover one more breath. And straighten. Beautiful. So you can take your left leg down now. Open up into your knee-supported side plank. You can stagger your feet. And you can stack your feet. Find a side plank that works for you. And from here, root your hands. Move through the vinyasa. Hopefully you didn't get blanket in your face like I just did. Downward facing dog. Let's all take a breath or 2 in child's pose. And then rise up to any comfortable seated position. We're going to do a little bit of a detour into some side hip strengthening that is borrowed basically from like Pilates and more kind of classical aerobics type stuff. But the reason that we're doing this is because sometimes it's quite missing in the practice of yoga. And so we're going to get that hip opening and strengthening all at the same time. So come down onto your side, and I'll talk you through as if you're mirroring me. So if you're lying on your left side, you're going to bring your top leg right over the left and come into a 90-degree position at the hips, 90 degrees at the knees, and I guess 90 degrees at the ankles, yeah? So you're going to float that top leg up and then just smoothly settle the knee and then settle the heel. Settle the knee and then the heel. You can do anything you need to with your head, like block, pillow, sweatshirt bundled up, or you can park your head on your hand like me. You'll notice that I'm going pretty slowly here because the goal is not just about fast twitch fibers, it's actually about the more postural muscles around the hip. We only have one more round. So give your hip a little bit of a rest. I imagine many of you guys felt a bit of burning with that. And if you did, make a loose fist. Go ahead and smack it around a bit back there. And then you're going to straighten your bottom leg as best as you can. And you're going to take this top leg and step the foot in front of you. This is very much like holding up the foot before we went into that single leg chair pose earlier. So all I'm doing is coming from this slightly knee bent position where the legs are stacked to pointing my knee as much as I can towards the ceiling and back. And where I feel that is pretty deep in the bum. So I'm working the hip external rotators. And breathing a little bit. And let's just do one more of these, okay? And keep this foot parked here. If you want, you can use your arm. And then your bottom leg, ideally you're going to straighten it out. So I'm at a bit of a funky angle, but that's okay. You're going to lift and lower. Lift and lower. So the reason why I'm teaching all this, even though what we all need right now are like things to counteract sitting, is that strengthening through the muscles is actually one of the best ways to create a sense of freedom so that we don't feel so stiff in those muscles. It's muscles that get really neglected that tend to feel stiffer. And that's one of the reasons why sitting is so rough on our hips. We can switch to the other side. So go ahead and get comfortable in that 90-90 position on the other side. Lift your top leg and then tap down through the knee and the ankle and the knee and the ankle. Ideally, this movement is going to be smooth as silk, just really like easy breezy. We've got one more. And then you're going to take your bottom leg and straighten it out a little bit. So it's okay if the legs are a bit bent like mine are here. Top hand is right in front of you to help you to stabilize a little bit. And that top leg, bring the foot up as close as you can to your belly button, your chest. And then return it to its starting position. So many of the yoga shapes that we take on in our hips are shapes of external rotation. And that would include lotus pose, that would include like warrior triangle pose. And it includes a lot of the sitting positions that we do. There are very few exceptions. There are very few positions in which we go into internal rotation. So now keep this top leg here, foot parked, Appreciate any little burning feeling that you got. It's a good sign of being alive. And we're going to lift and lower that bottom leg, getting into the inner thigh. So strengthening is one of the best forms of hip opener. If I didn't say that clearly enough a moment ago, that's really why we're doing this. When you strengthen, you get stabilization and you get cushion around your hips. Good for sitting. You get so many, many good things. So we've got 1 or 2 more lifts here. And then go ahead and just settle onto your belly and let your feet flop side to side. We're going to play with another gorgeous hip opener. And this one's a bit more classically what people might think of as a hip opener. This is called Mandukasana, and I'm just coming into the half version of it, Ardha Mandukasana. And in my upper body, I'm going to use this Sphinx shape in the upper body, propped up into a back bend on my forearms, to start to get some of the kinks out in the thoracic spine. So turn to the right, looking over your right shoulder as far as you can go. Turn to the left, looking over your left shoulder as far as you can go. And then root your hands. Maybe press up a little higher into a back bend. Keep your elbows bent, heart pulling forward. And then right back into a neutral position, neutral spine, child's pose. I'm going to turn around so you guys can see the other side. And as you're ready, we're going to take it into Ardha Mandukasana, so half frog pose on the other side. Once you're there, prop yourself up on your forearms and just look over your left shoulder, look over your right shoulder, look over your left, look over your right. And then roll over onto your back. Draw your knees into your chest, rock a little side to side. And let's keep everything from the lowest ribs to the top back of the pelvis really rooted to the floor right now. We're going to reach the legs up towards the sky and you can shake them out. You can even alternate which toes you're pointing towards the sky. So right toes up towards your eyes, left toes towards the sky, and then flip back and forth. And then from here, bring your hands to the back of the head and just see if you can get a little bit of a pulsation. So your tailbone lifts up just a little bit, like you're trying to slide a piece of paper under your pelvis. We've got 3 more. And then keeping it here, keeping your back really rooted, keeping that sense of tailbone lifted so I can kind of wiggle my pelvis a little bit. You're going to lower one leg down just about halfway or a third of the way. Reach it right back up, breathe easy. Exhale, lower the other leg halfway or a third of the way down and right back up. First leg down and then open the legs a little bit away from one another, right back to center and up. Tailbone lifts, other leg down, open the legs a little away from one another, squeeze it back in and lift. And then one more time, down, wide, squeeze, 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 lift, down, wide, squeeze, 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 lift. And then draw your knees into your chest and rock a little side to side. So a strong core is also part of keeping everything stable here. We're going to cross that right ankle over the left knee. And at first, I want you just to activate your foot on both sides, hands to the back of the head. And we're going to do the same kind of tailbone lift like that we did with both legs up into the air. Settle your left foot down. Keep your right ankle where it is. You can slide it a little further across if you need to. And keeping your pelvis level, you're going to lift and lower a few times into bridge. I recommend maintaining an evenness in your pelvis. As you do this, and then release your right foot. Next time your hips come down, cross your left ankle over your right knee. Draw the legs in and start with your active feet, just curling your tailbone. Check that your head and neck are relaxed. And then as you're ready, settle your foot down to the ground. You can keep your ankle here or cross it over a little bit more if you need to. The idea is that the two front hip points are going to lift evenly towards the sky. So try not to go up like really pushing up through your standing leg. Try to lift both legs even, both hips even. And then last one, settle both feet down, lift nice and high. You can interlace your fingers behind your back if you'd like. If this doesn't feel good on your neck, don't do it. If it feels great on your neck, then squeeze your shoulder blades and keep it up. And then the way we're going to come out of this back bend, of this bridge pose, is vertebra by vertebra. So settle, settle, T8, T9. Try to feel every single inch of your spine independently hitting the ground. If you've got a little bit more room than me, I'm going to wiggle to the side. You can just swish your knees right and left and hopefully not hit anything. And then let's do one final nurturing shape for our neck and shoulders. So roll yourself up into seated. And bring your hands to the back of your head. You're going to drop your chin a little bit. Push your head back into your hands. And then keep one hand there and one hand to your low ribs. There are some muscles at the front of your neck. There's some big muscles that you can see activating, like on bodybuilders and on people with very forward heads. These are called your sternocleidomastoids. And those are not the muscles I'm talking about. I'm talking about the muscles that are like kind of way back there, and they're nice and small, and they're long and skinny, and they're helping to stabilize right at your cervical spine, at your vertebrae. So those are called your deep neck flexors. You can think of it like the core of your neck. Those are the muscles you want to activate as you push back into your hand, drop your ribs, and then just start to turn a little to one side, turn a little to the other. Turn a little to your first side, and turn a little to the other. As a frame of reference, you should have enough kind of softness at the front of the neck that you can still swallow. And switch hands if you haven't already. I already did that a moment ago. If you're having discomfort in your neck throughout the day, or in the place where the neck and the shoulders meet, number one, get up, change positions. And number two, really, I recommend this little stabilizing action. You can put your hands at the back of the head like we just did, or you can take your fingers like we're about to do and place them at the back of your neck. So it's actually not very fancy. It's just right hand on the right side, left hand on the left side, sort of like little piano keyboard or something, I don't know. And I'm just kind of pushing back gently and evenly as I can through all of my vertebrae in the neck. And just take one more breath with this light, gentle push. You're thinking also of lengthening any muscles at the base of your skull, keeping a softness in the jaw. And then finally, anything you can do for your upper back will possibly also help your neck. So let's do one last thing for the upper back. We've done a lot tonight. You're going to walk your right hand out, bring your hand to the back of the head. Drop your chin towards your chest. Press the head into the back of the hand. Start to spin up a little bit. Take a full breath here. And then exhale and round your back. Gently tug the head down, nothing forceful. Push the head into the hand. Open. Look up towards the ceiling and round. And one more time. Lead with the head, push. Rise up. Take it to the other side. Hand to the back of the head, chin drops down. Keep the gentle push of the head back into the hand. So it's not a passive, like limp handshake. This is an active energy of the muscles around the neck pushing in. And spinning down and up one last time. Inhale, arms reach. And exhale, palms over the heart. You can settle yourself down onto your back now, or you can stay upright as I'm going to do for a seated meditation. In seated, I actually really recommend some kind of block or blanket or pillow underneath of you. I happen to have something behind me, so I'm just going to scoot into that. And if you don't have anything else, but your yoga mat has a little bit of thickness, you can roll up a bit of your yoga mat and roll that behind, just behind your bum. And that can be a nice way to feel a little bit supported. Please keep the back of the neck long. Gently allow your eyelids to close. You're welcome to be on your back right now. Begin to tune your awareness first and foremost to whatever support you're using, to the sense of ground beneath you. I want you to recognize that that ground is always there for you. It's a constant, unchanging force. And then bring your awareness into your breath. Aware of the 4 stages of breath. The inhale, a little pause or exchange at the top, the exhale, and the pause or exchange at the bottom. What you'll notice is that you can pause your breath, but you can't just decide to stop breathing. There's something bigger than you, wider than you, wilder than you, that is breathing you. And so in every moment that is true, enjoy your life, enjoy the moment, soak it up, imbue it with purpose. It's not the same as productivity, but it is a reminder of your greater purpose on this planet. Even if you can't name it, if you can't quantify it, I hope you take some peace in knowing that it's there. Third and final awareness for this evening. I invite you to notice whatever you're feeling. Anything. Anxiety, fatigue, elation, relief. I invite you to feel and allow whatever feelings come up. There's a phrase that gets tossed around a lot in spiritual world and in the yoga world of letting go. I invite you to, instead of letting go, get curious, look closer. So if you feel angry about something, look into that, examine that. If you feel sad about something or grieving about something, explore that, learn it, understand it. Feelings are energies, and when we allow them to move through us, we can channel them in their right paths. Very gradually inviting a little bit of movement into your fingers. Invite a little bit of movement maybe into your shoulders or your head, rock it side to side. If you're lying on your back, take the steps towards rolling to your side to come up to a seated position so that we can close our practice together. I know you may be feeling a little silly creating a vibration or an om in your room, wherever you are in your home. But I invite you to join me in this om from the belly, soft. It's not going to be a huge one. And start by taking a full breath in. We'll allow those vibrations to ripple out and ripple inward as well. Because ultimately, this practice of yoga means the most if it shifts us into a higher purpose, into better attunement and attention today and tomorrow, more kindness to the neighbors, and if it ripples out and influences and enlivens others. Thank you all for being here tonight. Namaste.